PT1, I found a wedding ring in my husband's toolbox, but it wasn't mine. A few nights ago, I was looking for duct tape in my husband Jake's toolbox when I found something wrapped in an old rag, a gold wedding ring. It wasn't mine. Mine has tiny diamonds around the band, and this one was plain, engraved inside with forever, L and M. When Jake got home, I asked about it. He brushed it off fast, said it probably came from an old renovation job. But the way he grabbed it and shoved it back in the toolbox made my stomach twist. Later that night, I couldn't stop thinking about that engraving. I looked through Jake's Facebook friends and found a woman named Lydia, and she looked a little familiar, but I couldn't place her. PT2. A few days later, I ran into one of Jake's old co-workers at the hardware store. I mentioned Lydia's name, and his whole face changed. He said she used to work with Jake on a renovation crew a few years ago, but left after her marriage fell apart. That night, I looked up Lydia's profile. In her older photos, she was wearing that same gold ring, the one I found. Her husband, Mark, had commented on her pictures for years, and then nothing after 2019. When I asked Jake about it again, he went pale. He said Lydia's husband just left her one day, then quickly changed the subject. But later that night, his phone buzzed on the counter. The message preview said, "We need to talk about what you did." And it was from Lydia. PT3. When Jake fell asleep, I checked his phone. There were messages going back months. Lydia had been insisting I needed to know. She wrote things like, "You said you'd handle it. You said he'd never come back." Jake's replies were panicked, begging her not to say anything, saying it was for us. When I confronted him the next morning, he snapped. Said Lydia was crazy, that she'd been really focused on him since her husband left. Then he packed a bag and stormed out, saying he needed space. PT4. 2 days later, I called Lydia. She actually answered, her voice shaking the entire time. She told me she and Jake had an affair years ago. She thought he'd leave me for her, but when she tried to end it, her husband, Mark, found out. He left after an argument and never came back. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. Jake told me he took care of it. I thought he meant emotionally, not physically. Before I could say anything else, a man's voice came on the line. Not Jake's. He said, "Don't call this number again." Then hung up. PT5. That night, I finally checked my voicemails. There was one from Jake, his voice low, shaky, almost crying. "You weren't supposed to find the ring. I did it for us. She was supposed to choose me. He was never supposed to be unalived." I called the police right after. They searched one of the old renovation houses his crew had worked on. In the basement, under a slab of concrete, they found a rusted toolbox. Inside were evidence of a person, a gold wedding ring, and a small velvet box, the same kind that had shown up on my card days earlier. PT6 final. The forensic team confirmed the evidence of a person were Markham, Lydia's husband. Jake's fingerprints were inside the toolbox and on the concrete lid that had sealed it. They said he must have gone back years later, lifted the lid just enough to take the ring, and kept it in his own toolbox as a reminder of what he'd done. When police searched his car, they found a piece of paper in the glove box written in Jake's handwriting. But it wasn't a letter. It read like something he was telling himself. "She understand when it's over. Lydia will see I did it for us. Mark was in the way. She just couldn't admit it. Once she's free and my wife's gone, everything will make sense again. We'll finally be together." That's how it was supposed to be. A week later, they found his truck abandoned at a rest stop. Jake's body was discovered in the woods nearby. They ruled it as him ending things himself. But the object they found beside him had no fingerprints, and his truck keys were never found. They said he ended things himself. But part of me still wonders who really made it happen.